the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a review video on a new tent from Vango. So with me here today I've got the Vango Cragmor, and it's available in a 400 and a 500. So the model which we're going to talk through and use as kind of the sample for the video today is the 500 version. They do make a slightly smaller 400, and it depends on obviously everything we're going to talk about through this video. The concept's same depending on the size. Doesn't make a difference whatsoever. It's just down to the overall size of the tent itself. So what you see is actually that the 500, which we have here, is approximately about 3 meters wide in the main sleeping area, 320 in sort of the overall front section. Whereas when you drop it down to the 400, it runs about 240 in again the bedroom section and 260 in the front area. So just the internal and external dimensions are the main differences there. What is evident in comparison, it almost takes over really from the Vango Cragmor in terms of its style, but with a few new features for the season going forward. So one of which is very apparent, is obviously this new colour. So it's a mineral green colour. Now, it's a real change of colour, but also a change of direction as well that Vango have gone into. So what this colour actually does is they've really gone back to looking at, they introduced kind of like the sort of eco side of things with the recycled plastics. And what they've done with this actually is managed to find another way to be even more kind of economical in how they manufacture things. So with this, what we've got is all about the dyeing process. So the material itself is a really nice sort of standard material, looking in the region about sort of around about 70D, that sort of material. Now we're sort of talking about almost like grams per square inch. It seems the goals of price are always changing, but the more in principle is how they actually dye it. So to get the colour, the thing, what they've now done is actually dye the thread of it, rather than dye the material when it's pre-rolled. What this essentially does, it basically increases colour retention by doing it by the thread, and means you actually get the dye all the way through. Now, why is this important? This is important because it means that the colour stays in it for longer, and the best analogy I can probably use is different between a carrot and a radish. So radish would be kind of how it used to be, whereas when you've got the colour on the outside, and as soon as that colour strips away, or when you cut through it, you've got the white on the inside. So the longer the tent is, that UV is stripping away that colour, and it looks faded and looks tired. Whereas with the carrot scenario, the colour's all the way through, because they've dyed directly through the thread, all the way through, rather than dyeing the material when it's all woven. Sounds all technical, but yeah, the end of the day, it's actually a more expensive process to do, but it saves about 60% of water in doing it that process in comparison to doing it the more conventional way. So not only do you benefit from using less water, but you also get a more resilient tent to UV, looks sharper for longer, and generally it's kind of all round quite good. So this is what they're calling their sort of colour lock eco. Locks colour in, but you're saving the water as well. Now that's over, we're looking at a 3000mm high strength head, so it's again a good waterproof rating. Very simple and easy to pitch. You can see our own Attwoolls pitching and packing video I've done on this one. I think it took me the best part of not even probably 10 minutes on my own. Nice and simple concept. Fiberglass poles, so again they're lightweight but still got a bit of flex to them as well. Colour coordinated, so there's a little tab located here that indicates this is the black pole. You have two crossovers which are both black, and there's a little grey tab here to basically say that's the grey. So there'll be a grey section in the middle of that, so when you get all the poles out, you can identify what is what and where needs to go where. Because it sort of pitches externally, and then you put the bedroom in sort of internally, you can always leave the bedroom in place at all times. Little clips as well, just keep the sort of fabric nice and close to the pole, and what it then means is that the pole sleeves aren't as long, so it's easy to feed and again put back into the ring and pins at the bottom. You've got like a two-tonal kind of guide point as well, so you've got orange for the latter part of it, which is going to be more like the trip hazards, as we can see here, so it doesn't kind of clash too much the tent, and anything it brings out kind of the orange branding of the Vango as well. You've got your main kind of sleeping area kind of at the back, and then sort of a semi sort of living area or sort of dumping ground, wherever you want to call it, and we've got a rear vent which we'll look on to later. As we kind of come round the front of it, we've got two little windows in here to allow a little bit of light into the tent, but there's also privacy curtains in a really nice kind of pattern, saying in the minimal green, just to get that privacy when you wanted to. The front door zips directly down, and what you can also do, actually, to be fair, is you can kind of double up the door as like a little mini canopy to add a bit more shelter. So what you can do by this is the pegging points you'd normally actually go through, you can put that on some king poles, bring that out, and then gives yourself a bit more of a canopy as such. Another new feature for the Cragmor, which is really quite nice, is this mesh front. So what I'm going to do, sit myself in. So what you've got here is a fully fronted mesh, so you can actually have a bug-free protection quite nice and neatly. So what you've got is a way of allowing airflow into the tent without having to worry about bugs coming directly in. Admittedly, it's not completely sealed because you're going to come down a little bit at the bottom, but you're never going to get that completely sealed really unless you have a sewn-in ground sheet, which for what you pay if you get, it's going to cost a lot more. And also could be quite a nice light mesh. Generally, it doesn't seem kind of too intrusive. And it helps to make the tent feel quite, fresh inside of it. From a pack size point of view, it's quite small and compact. There's not a huge amount to it. And I see this being perfect for kind of those weekend campers. So if people are going away for a short period of time, or if you're taking it to a festival and you want, a good quality product, again, I think that is a really quite nice little concept. Let me roll this door up and we'll swing around and have a look straight into the heart of the tent. So other things in here which you probably wouldn't expect from a kind of this level of specification are things like hanging points for lanterns. So located in the center pole here, there's a hanging point for a lantern. So it means you can, quite happily not have to have anything on the ground. It can shine directly down. Again, pack size is quite nice. Nothing too overly big, but let's pick that camera up and have a little wander around. So this is like I said, the 5-person, but what we've done here is put a double airbed in and rotate it around sideways. So again, if you wanted more of a couples tent, it works well. But if you have an airbed in, i.e. the conventional way, you can see you can probably get a couple either side. It's going to be a tight 5, so really say it's more a true 4 or a very comfy 3. And again, probably say the 400 would be more of a comfy 3 or a true 3, a very comfy 2. But at least where you can always have a double bed in the middle, bit of storage either side quite happily. So that works really quite nicely. We've also got a slightly darker tinted inner as well, so I hope to try and cut down early morning light and make you hopefully sleep in a little bit longer, especially when you've got kind of a lighter colour fabric. Really, you want that kind of contrast as such. Door folds away really nice and neatly into its own little sort of storage pocket located here, but you can then zip yourself in quite happily. And we've even got a little mesh part to the front of the door as well, which you can sort of toggle up, zip up or zip down, depending on what you want to do. So again, if you compare it to kind of the old version, i.e. the Karen, there's a lot more details going on here, be it the colour, the extra mesh on the front, the mesh on the side, even the little coloured details on the windows, I think all works really nicely. But let's go inside the tent now and get a little bit closer. So we've got colour coordinated inner bedroom points. So again, it works really nicely. You can see that extra ventilation point directly up there to allow airflow in. Storage pockets located down the side here, how to declutter the main part of the tent, just to keep it all nice and neat. And then that's that storage pocket that I previously mentioned. You've got enough room in the front section for the likes of a chair if you really want to. It's going to be definitely a bit snug. You won't probably get a table in here, but even when the door is fully shut, you can probably get a chair that side, a chair over this side, and kind of keep it really quite nice. But all in all, I think looks quite smart. We'll check out that little ventilation point at the back. So again, that's your airflow. Keeps it open all the time, but just makes life a little bit easier. But kind of Vango's nightfall bedrooms are they do a job. Okay, it's not going to be the same sort of level as Blackout, but again, from what we're looking at from a price point of view, you wouldn't really expect it to. Overall, I really do quite like the Cragmor. Definitely a little bit something different, and probably a little bit higher spec than I would initially thought for kind of Vango's sort of entry-level product, and it's entry-level in just normal terms of spec, not down to the quality as such. The ground sheet again is really quite nice. It's for me, I think, if you have the canopy open like this and you're not going to kind of buy the additional poles and have it coming out, then it's probably quite nice to actually maybe bring this sort of ground sheet back, roll it back, if not tuck it underneath the bedroom. That way this is kind of more a grassy area, so if it does rain, it's not collecting then directly onto the ground sheet here as well. But again, you can pick and choose that kind of however you want your tent to be. One final point I'll make you aware of is that you've actually got TBS, which stands for Vango's tension band system, on the front pole here. So there's little sort of webbing straps clipped directly up into the roof section to create a triangle point with the tent. So that way, if you've got any kind of movement in kind of the tent itself, being like that, it retains the strength of it. It's something you wouldn't really, to be honest, put or use unless you kind of have it left for a period of time. And when it's inside here, the straps are going to get in the way a little bit, so I probably wouldn't recommend it, but it's one of those extra things that you can, fall back on. For more information on this product, you're more than welcome to check the link below this video. It'll take you straight through to our website. We have all the information there at a touch of a button, from prices, sizes, pack sizes, individual little feature points on it. So anything you kind of don't want to go back through and watch this video, it's all there nice and easily, as well as the optional extras that are available for this particular product. Of course, we'd love to hear from you as well, so feel free to let us know your feedback on it. Feel free to comment in the box below or contact us directly. But really, that is kind of our video review on the brand new Vango Cragmor in the 400 and the 500, which I'm showing you here. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully, we shall see you again soon.